This video shows you how to use the array method of division. I'm going to focus on cubic examples in this video, and our first example is x cubed plus 3x squared plus 5x plus 3 divided by x plus 1. So I'll start by drawing my array. My array is a grid of boxes, and I'll double the highest power in order to decide on how many boxes there should be. So this is a cubic, so power of 3, double that, that's 6, so 6 boxes. So my grid should look like this, and give yourself plenty of space. Don't try to make it too small. You need to be able to fit some stuff inside these boxes as well, so make sure it's legible. So on the outside, I'm going to fill in my factors, and you can see that I know one of my factors here. It's x plus 1. I'm dividing it in, so it's a divisor or a factor. So I've got two terms in this factor, so I'm going to put it on the side of the box on the outside where there's two boxes. So I'm going to write x plus 1 out here. When I'm dividing in, my goal is to figure out what the other factor is. So I want to figure out what else I should write on the outside on this side of my array. That'll be my answer. So how do I get there? Well, I've got the x plus 1 filled in, and I've got more information here in my cubic that I can also fill in. So I'm going to be able to fill in my first term and my last term into the first box and the last box. This is going to help me fill in some information now on the top of my grid. So whatever's outside my grid should multiply to give me what's inside my grid. So whatever I put up here should multiply by x to give me this x cubed. So obviously x by x squared is going to give me x cubed. So I have that one filled in. And I can use my plus 1 and my plus 3 in a similar way. So whatever goes in here should multiply by plus 1 to give me plus 3. So clearly that's going to have to be plus 3. So I can fill that in. And now that I've filled these two values in on the outside, I can use it to fill in more things inside my grid. So for example, I can say, okay, this box here can be filled in by multiplying plus 1 by x squared. And of course, that's going to give me plus 1x squared. And I can do the same thing up in this box. I can say, okay, plus 3 by x is going to give me plus 3x in there. Okay, so now I've got a good bit of stuff filled into my grid, and I can see that I've got kind of almost all of my answer up on top here for my other factor of the cubic, but I'm just missing this information down the middle. And I don't seem to have any way of getting at it because I don't have anything in here to figure out what I should put on top, and I don't have what should go on top to figure out what should go in here. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go back and look at my cubic again. I'm going to look at the x squared term and the x term, and they're going to help me decide what goes in here. Because quite conveniently in the array, these two boxes will total up the x squared term, and these two boxes will total up to the x term. So let's have a look. I need to have 3x squared according to my cubic. At the moment, I've got 1x squared. Now, in here, I'm going to be adding and subtracting. So what do I need to put on to 1x squared to get to 3x squared? I need to add on 2x squared. So I'm going to fill that in there. And then the same idea with the x's. So I need 5x. I've got 3x. That means I need 2x more. I'm going to add on 2x. And now I've got plenty of material to help me get this middle value on the top of my array. So again, I can see that x by something should give me 2x squared. So that something must be plus 2x. I can fill that in. And what's really handy about the array is that it will work in the middle, not just for one row, but for both rows if I'm correct. So let's just check this bottom row. Plus 1 by 2x gives me 2x as well. So since this multiplication works for both of my rows, it means that I know I'm definitely correct with my division. The answer to the question in this case, what do you get when your cubic is divided by x plus 1, is this result up here, x squared plus 2x plus 3. That's my answer. That's called the quadratic factor of the cubic. The expression that I divided in originally, the x plus 1, is the linear factor. See how the quadratic factor has an x squared, but the linear factor just has an x. Let's do a second example. So this time we have 2x cubed plus 9x squared minus 55x plus 50 divided by 2x minus 5. We're going to use the exact same approach as in the previous example. So if you feel confident that you know what's going on, you can pause the video and try and work ahead of me at any stage, and then you can play and check to see if you're correct. Okay, so I'm going to start by drawing my array. And again, I'm making it nice and big so I can fit all the bits in that I need. And then I'm going to fill in my linear factor, my 2x minus 5 on the outside over here. And now I'm going to use some information from the cubic to fill in a couple of boxes in here. So again, pause the video and see if you know what to do yourself here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is fill in the first and the last terms into the first and the last boxes. And now I've got enough information to get started filling in my quadratic factor. So let's see, 2x by what will give me 2x cubed? Well, that's going to be x squared. And then I look at my last term here, my 50, and I'll say, okay, minus 5 by something is going to give me plus 50. What's that going to be? It needs to be minus 10. And now I can use this information to start filling in other boxes in my array. So what should I fill in? Well, I'm going to fill in this box here because minus 5 times x squared is minus 5x squared. And up here I can fill in because I've got 2x times minus 10, and that's going to give me minus 20x. And again now, I've got all this big blank bit in the middle. How am I going to fill that in? At this point, I go back and look at my cubic. I look at the x squared and the x terms in the cubic. So the x squared term is going to fill up these two boxes, and the x term is going to be made up of these two boxes. So what am I going to need? Well, I need to get to plus 9. I'm at minus 5. Minus 5 plus what gives plus 9? It's plus 14x squared. You can use your calculator a little bit to help you out here if you need to, because you can type in minus 5 plus 14 to check does it give you plus 9, and it does on the calculator. And then I need minus 55x in total for these two boxes. Well, I've got minus 20. So what else do I need? I need to have minus 35 here as well. So minus 35x is going to go into this box. And again, you can use the calculator on the coefficients if you need to. Minus 35 minus 20 makes minus 55. And now I should be able to make the middle term of my quadratic factor. So let's have a look. I want to make 14x squared. 14x squared is made up of 2x by what? Well, that's going to have to be plus 7x. And of course, remember, I can check to see if I'm correct, because if I'm right, then 7x by minus 5 should give me that middle box at the bottom. So minus 5 by 7x, yeah, that's definitely minus 35x. So I know I'm correct. And again, the answer to my division is this quadratic factor. This x squared plus 7x minus 10 is the answer to the question. One last example, x cubed minus 19x minus 30 divided by x minus 5. This is still a cubic because it has a cubed at the start. I'm still going to have to use 6 boxes even. But if you look back and compare it to example 2 or even example 1, you will see that the cubic looks a little bit different, because in our previous examples I had an x cubed, an x squared, an x, and a constant term. But here I've only got x cubed and x. I've kind of skipped that x squared stage. That looks a bit funny. I'd like it to look a bit more like all the previous cubics that I was looking at. So I'm going to make a little bit of an edit to this to begin with. So I've written the question down again, but where I didn't have an x squared before, I put in a 0x squared. So I haven't changed the value of the question at all, because 0 isn't worth anything, but I'm just keeping the same kind of layout, x cubed, x squared, x, a number. It just makes it easier for me when I go to do my array in a moment. So just make sure to do that. If something's missing, make sure to stick it in. Off I go then, I draw my array and I get the question started. So again, pause the video here and give that a shot yourself and see if you can manage it. Okay, so again, I've got x cubed, so I double the 3 to get 6 boxes. And then I'm going to use my linear factor x minus 5 and write that on the outside. Okay, then I go and I have a look at my cubic and I fill in the first box and the last box with the first and last terms. And now I'll see if I can figure out what else I should fill in on the outside. Well, okay, I've got x cubed here. X by what gives x cubed? Well, that's going to have to be x squared. And then here I've got minus 30. So minus 5 times what is going to give me minus 30? Well, that has to be plus 6. And again, if you're in any kind of doubt about this, just double check it on the calculator by sticking those numbers in and multiplying them. And then I can fill in this box and this box. So minus 5x squared, and then up here I'll have plus 6x. Okay, again now I've got these middle boxes that are a bit blank. How do I figure those out? How do I figure those out? What do I go and have a look at again? Well, I go back and I have a look at the x squared and the x terms in the original cubic. And again, this is why it was important to fill in this 0 so that I'd know what I was aiming for inside in my grid. So I want 0x squared. So these two boxes must make up 0. Well, minus 5 is what I have. So how will I get 0? Well, minus 5 plus 5 will give me 0. Make sure you've got an x squared in there at the end of that. And then these two boxes are going to give me my minus 19. Now I'm at plus 6 and I want to get all the way down to minus 19. So I need to subtract 25x. And again, no harm to have the calculator to just double check the coefficients there. Plus 6 minus 25 gives minus 19. And now I can fill in this middle box here, or this middle section here. So I can say x by what will give me 5x squared. Well, that's going to be plus 5x. And then, of course, again, I can check to see if I'm right. So it's quite nice with the array method. I know if I'm correct, because if I am correct, this bottom box in the middle should work. So minus 5 times plus 5 is minus 25x. And that's exactly what I already have. So I know that I'm definitely right. And again, there's my answer. So I wanted to divide in the linear factor. I did that. And the result that I get, my answer that I get, is this quadratic factor across the top. To start getting the hang of these, I'd really suggest go back through the video, write down the 3 examples, again, just the questions, put away the piece of paper that you already have, turn off the video, try and do the 3 questions yourself, and then go back and refer to either your own rough work from watching the video or just go back and watch the video again and check and see if you're getting it right, and then go on and try some more questions.